their applicant will pull up and Steve's agent, so he may come up and say, hey, with a new application.
Interesting. I would have figured they had cleared all that. I was wondering whether or not that was.
Good, how are you?
How's it going?
No, I was just here. I want the committee of the whole meeting. Let's turn all this audio off. Uh-oh.
Thank you. I'll call this meeting to order. Thank you for being here. This is the village board. It is Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. It is 14 minutes past 7. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Orth?
Here.
Trustee Whitaker?
Here.
Trustee Fowler?
Here.
Trustee Mendrick?
Here.
Trustee Gallen?
Here.
Trustee Dungus?
Here.
Thank you. In all of our public meetings, we open the floor to those who wish to address the village board. We ask that as per our rules, that you limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Is there anyone present who would like to address the board? Yes, Kathy.
I'm not sure it's really a board issue as much as well, I don't know. Kathy Estabrook, 1620 Mount Pleasant. We have had 3 power outages in the last 2 weeks. Big-time power outages, like long-time power outages. And I just was wondering if there's something that the village can do to put a fire under whatever's going on, because it's inconvenient, obviously, and scary as to why they're happening.
We meet with, I'm going to hand it over to Patrick, we meet with ComEd annually to do a review of just this kind of information, but Patrick, maybe you have something to add.
It is against code for us to light fires under people, but we,
Can I do it then?
I've talked to ComEd. Our local rep is on vacation. She'll be back next week. There was another power outage this evening. So I get email alerts every time there's a power outage affecting more than, I think, 10 homes. So I get the alerts on it, so I've been watching that. And I want to find out if there's a commonality in what feeder or line is going out. Sometimes it's totally different. This time of year with the heat, you start to wonder if transformers have been overloaded by too many air conditioners on. But I'm definitely going to be digging into that to see if there's a common cause and push ComEd with the help of the president to replace whatever line may be a problem if it is.
That would be great. That would be great. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention, Kathy.
Just a quick question for that. When there are power outages in town, do you think, if we know about it and the residents don't, that we could give some sort of a social media shout out to let the town know that there is a significant power outage in town?
We don't currently have the resources because depending on when that outage is, we don't have people that have access to that system. So if it's a 2 a.m. outage, I think often people know, other than, even I've been sleeping before and had the power go out, the hum in the house changes and you know.
Yep.
But the good thing is ComEd, with the smart meter system that we have in now, they get alerted when power's not coming into that meter. So I think that their responsiveness is getting there. The best thing for residents, though, is 1-800-EDISON-1. Notify them, because there's some times that they don't link they see meters out, but they don't necessarily link it to the larger issue. And I think the more people that call and get that information from ComEd on the estimated restore time is helpful. But interesting thought, but I just We're not a big enough town to be able to respond 24/7.
Any other comments from the public? Please.
I always screw up the mic. Okay, my name is Carol Ritchell. I live at 811 Hap Road. Number one, I want to thank you, Patrick. The presentation that you just gave us was, the work you have done is absolutely phenomenal. And I pray God that you as a board choose to allocate the $300,000 or whatever pennies to choose the system that the BSNA or whatever. It's going to cost a lot up front. It's going to be so efficient for us. And I have been many times a bit critical of how our village has chosen to spend our money. This time, God, I hope you allocate that $300,000. This is really, really important for us, guys. It makes a difference. And then the other question that I have, okay, regarding the police department, there was the two things that the two of you both said yes to, and the only difference was kind of like when. So my question is, what's the disadvantage of the 134, other than the money, okay, what's the disadvantage of hiring somebody for the, I forget what that position is called again?
The Administrative Services
Okay,
Manager.
what's the disadvantage? And I guess I'm going to ask you.
So my position on that was really, it has to do more with who those duties would be assigned to. I feel that having a sworn supervisor assigned to some of those duties is an important role for a couple reasons for us. It gives us some flexibility because having that sworn supervisor can help us during times when there are staffing shortages or there are emergencies where we just need an extra person available. The person in that position is responsible for developing policy, for updating policies. I feel that that's a great training ground for future advancement in the agency. And also in terms of having, that sort of gives us an extra person who can assist with investigations. So right now, if we have one detective and the detective is on a task force call out, he might be away from the village for 2 weeks at a time, maybe longer. So having that sworn person there who can step in to handle investigations, I feel is important.
So, okay, I'm feeling very stupid right now, and I guess it's just because I'm nervous. So I guess I don't understand. Are you saying that having that position that would cost $134,000 now would be a help to you or not? Or you, I guess I didn't understand all of what you said, and it's not important that you really explain the details to me. From your perspective, is it a benefit to wait a while for that? Is that what you just said?
Well, I think the disagreement that the manager and I had was partially in terms of what, whether that role is a civilian role or a sworn role. Part of it also is that right now, because we've been so shorthanded for so long, it's hard for us to really gauge kind of where what we need, because right now, the people in those roles, the detective and the support services commander, have spent almost all of their time in patrol, where we've had to have them out in the street. So I think that once we get back on our feet and we have the patrol staffing that we need, then we can really get a better gauge on kind of what we really need from those positions. And that was my.
Thank you. Again,
Sure.
I
No,
don't
no,
fully
I'm happy
understand,
to.
but I was just like, geez, I don't see the downside of doing it now.
Yeah, I don't wanna-
Other than the things that it costs $135,
Right.
whatever, $1,000. But that's not why you're.
No,
Thank you.
and right, I
Thank you.
certainly don't want to appear to be turning my nose up at any assistance, by, you know, but it just, I think it was more of kind of a nuance about how we would be assigning those roles.
Yeah, and I mean, truthfully, I mean, all of the trustees said they deferred to you guys, or to the two of you. Anyway, thank you very much.
Sure, my pleasure.
I appreciate it. And Patrick, thank you. You are doing a wonderful job for us, I think. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Deputy Chief Tensky. Any other public comment? All right, we have, I always like it when we have, in our board packet today, we have a proclamation celebrating and recognizing the Rotary's 100th anniversary. And we have a couple of representatives here, one of which is an old family friend, Keith Reed. Thanks for being here, Keith.
Thank you. After hearing all of this discussion, this topic is going to be an easy one to present. It's going to be simple, it's going to be short, and it's not going to cost you any money. But what is happening, as most of you know, there are a number of Rotarian clubs in the area. Glenview has a couple, Winnetka has two. Wilmette has two. Winnetka has one that's merged between Winnetka and Northfield. And so I'm here kind of saying from the Northfield contingent that we hope that you consider this proclamation, which has apparently been passed out to you already, because what we're asking the villages to do, where we have these Rotary committees, that we are proclaiming June 20, 2024 as our 100th anniversary of Rotary. And Rotary has been around not only in locally, but also globally for a good many years. They do a lot of good work for a lot of people. And what we're trying to do is to have the villages make this proclamation to give us a reason to really celebrate. We're going to have a dinner over at the Winnetka Community House in a couple of weeks to celebrate. But I thought I'd also might bring and introduce you to one of our Rotarians who is from Morocco. And come on up here. And this is Muha. Masha. Okay. And he's going to tell you a little bit about Morocco and his experience on an international basis and why he is very much.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you all for having us here and agreeing to do this proclamation. It is very important to us. I am the international in Rotary International. Even though I did grow up in Morocco, but I've been here for about 50 years. I joined Rotary about 15 years ago, even though I could have when I worked at Northwestern in Evanston, but I was too busy to join. So I joined when I was in Belvedere, and I was president of the club there, and I'm the incoming president for the Winnetka Northfield 24-25. Looking forward to the challenge. We do, the motto for Rotary is service above self, and it really is service above self. We do a lot of things in the community. We do food banks, we do cleaning, we do helping all the other organizations and support, libraries, the Jocelyn Center, and all that, in a lot of other organizations in the community, as well as international. We do a lot in water wells, we do in health, economic development, vocational training. It is a great organization, and I'm really proud to be part of it. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I understand it's already been passed out to your members.
Yes, it has. It was published with the packet.
Okay.
And we all have seen it. We would read it into the record, but it's rather lengthy, but it really speaks to all the fine work the Rotary does.
Thank you very, very much for this honor, and we'll report back that we succeeded. Thank you.
I would have liked to, let me just say one.
I'm sorry, actually, our centennial is Thursday night, not in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's the 20th. That's great. Great. Thank you both for being here. Next on the agenda, the consent agenda items. Are there any items that any board member would like to have removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, will the clerk please read the consent agenda items into the record?
There are 3 items. The first is the approval of the minutes from the May 21st, 2024 meeting. The second is the approval of the bills and disbursements from May 2024. And the third is the approval of the appointment of Richard Filler to the Plan and Zoning Commission for the term of June 28, 2024 through September 2027.
Thank you, Clerk. May I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
Any members of the public who do wish to speak on this? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Mendrick?
Yes.
Trustee Gallen?
Yes.
Trustee Dungus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Action items. May I have a motion to approve the adoption of a special use ordinance for a drive-through facility and coffee shop, that's the Dunkin', at 1900 Willow Road due to a change in ownership?
Motion to approve Dunkin' Donuts.
Can I have a second? Thank you. Steve, can you give us a little background on this?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. President. Northfield Holdings 33 LLC is seeking this special use in order to continue the operation of the Dunkin' Donuts and drive-through facility at the property at 1900 Willow Road. This petitioner is the contract purchaser of this property, and our code, as we've discussed in the past, requires that any special use that is held becomes void if there's a change of ownership, and so that the new owner has to renew that special use, which is what they're doing. They do not intend to change the operations of the existing facility, and so the Plan and Zoning Commission on June 3rd voted unanimously to recommend approval of this proposed special use. The owner has a representative here tonight if you have any questions for them, and certainly I can answer any questions you have for me. And that's all I have for that.
Any questions from the board? Questions from the public? Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Mendrick?
Yes.
Trustee Gallen?
Yes.
Trustee Dungus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Holly. You know, I was remiss there. Is the owner here, the new owner of the property? Property manager. Please step forward. I just want to formally welcome you to the village. And, I know you're in management, but I'm on record as welcoming the management and the new owners of the Dunkin'. So.
Appreciate it. Look forward to a long-lasting relationship with the village. You guys have been great to work with. Steve's been wonderful, so appreciate your time and efforts.
Before I let you go, can you state your name just so for the record?
Yes, Ryan Pishker. Our company is called Latitude Commercial.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Next on the action items, may I have a motion to approve the authorization to create 2 employee incentives related to the police department?
So moved.
Second.
Patrick, you've got 3 minutes.
Thank you. As you've reviewed in the packet, we're recommending 2 incentives to help us in our staffing operations at the police department. Really, the first is looking at the ability of an employment incentive where any village employee who recommends a full-time officer hire would receive an incentive of $500 on the day we first hire that employee, so their first day of work as a full-time police officer. In encouraging that person to help that person on board and continue moving forward, the recommending employee would receive another $500 when the person passes their probationary time in the FTO program. So there's an initial training cycle through FTO before the officer goes out and works on their own. The employee would receive a $500 incentive then. And the third, for a total potential of $1,500, is when the employee completes their probationary employment, which is generally about 2 years. That helps incentivize the employee to ensure that this new person integrates as best as possible in our organization. As I've mentioned during the earlier meeting, we're trying to find as many unique ways as we can to incentivize people to come to Northfield. And many other departments, or not many, some other departments will actually incentivize the new employee to be hired. My concern with that approach is that when you do that, it can tend to lead toward job hopping, where the new employee finds a better offer someplace else and they go take that job. I really want our employees engaged in the new hires and committed to helping make sure that person comes forward in time. The second thing recommended is an incentive for those officers serving as field training officer. I've met with a fair number of police officers. I haven't made it through the whole group yet. But a number of people commented on the fact that this department doesn't incentivize or reward those officers that step up and offer to train the new officers. And I think that that person is taking on additional responsibilities. There's certainly additional paperwork. And they serve as that person for the conduit for ensuring that we get somebody that learns the Northfield way of doing things. And for a 12-hour shift at approximately $82 a day, I think it's not that much to ask for the additional paperwork and responsibilities the FTO is taking on, volunteering for that position. So I'd ask for your concurrence to allow us to move forward with those procedures. The financial impacts are on assumptions I put in the board packet. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? I think it's a great idea, Patrick. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. Hopefully it incentivizes some guys to come to Northfield. So, clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Mendrick?
Yes.
Trustee Gallen?
Yes.
Trustee Denges?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Holly. Next on the action items, may I have a motion? That the record show that Kathy Estabrook approves.
I'm not the old one, I'm sure.
May I have a motion to approve the adoption of an ordinance granting approval of a preliminary and final plat of subdivision for 118 Dickens Road.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. Steve, can you give us a little background on this?
You bet. The petitioner, Konstantin Shaposhnikov, is seeking approval of a subdivision for the property at 118 Dickens Road. The proposed plat of subdivision would subdivide this property into two 3.1-acre single-family residential lots. And on May 6th, the Plan and Zoning Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the proposed plat of subdivision. There's a lot of background material in your packets that you've received. I won't delve into all the details, but I did want to make a special note that the application of the proposed plat of subdivision was originally proposed by a different individual. That individual is a contract purchaser for the entire property. That individual withdrew from that purchase contract subsequent to the Plan and Zoning Commission's May meeting and has no standing to continue that process before the village board and has no desire to either. Mr. Shaposhnikov, who is the existing owner of the property, has decided to stand in as the applicant in order to advance this plat of subdivision to the village board tonight. As the owner of the property, we believe that he has standing to do so. He is committed to honoring the plat of subdivision as it was proposed to the Plan and Zoning Commission, as well as all the accompanying material that was presented to the Plan and Zoning Commission. And if the board were to approve this, the draft ordinance that the village attorney has put together would also kind of memorialize that commitment. So if the petitioner is represented in the audience, if you have any questions for them, they certainly can answer them, or they can make a short introduction if you'd like.
Yeah, why don't we welcome.
Good evening. Michael Foose, attorney on behalf of Mr. Shaposhnikov. Mr. Shaposhnikov has been holding 118 Dickens Road, and we've been trying to get it subdivided for some time. The buyer was trying to go through the process, but with that not working out, we're here today to try to finalize this and get it done.
Very good. Does the board have any questions for either Steve or petitioner's attorney? Any questions or comments from the public? Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you, board.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Orth?
I just had one question of clarification. I'm sorry. Is this 2 3-acre lots, or is it
It's
3
two,
acres.
There was a
it's being
misprint.
subdivided into two 3.1 acre lots.
Yeah, there was a misprint in the
Okay.
the data sheet.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Sorry, Holly, go ahead.
Trustee Orth?
Yes.
Trustee Whitaker?
Yes.
Trustee Fowler?
Yes.
Trustee Mendrick?
Yes.
Trustee Gallen?
Yes.
Trustee Dungus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Holly. We are done with our action items. Information items, we have community development and building. Steve Gutierrez, do you have anything to add, Steve?
Just a couple of updates. Plan and Zoning Commission will have their July 1st meeting in which they'll be reviewing a set of zoning code amendments which would be designed to better accommodate full-service restaurants in the village center, as well as to really distinguish between full-service and other types of restaurants, where our current zoning ordinance only has one definition of restaurants, and we treat them all the same in the various districts and how they're zoned. The board discussed that at a previous committee of the whole, and so our read was the consensus was that they wanted to move forward with that process of considering those amendments, so we're doing that with the Plan and Zoning Commission in July. They'll also be considering what really is a cleanup of our zoning map, an amendment to the zoning map, where we have an area along Frontage Road that is zoned R1 countryside residential, single-family residential. We believe this is a vestige of maybe the pre-annexation condition, and certainly was zoned that way prior to the prevalent commercial uses up and down Frontage Road and Central. All of the other uses along the Edens north of Willow are zoned R office research. And so we'll be presenting cleanup of the zoning map on that to the Plan and Zoning Commission as well on July 1st. So the Zoning Board of Appeals will be reviewing two variations, one side yard variation as well as one FAR variation on July 10th. That meeting was originally scheduled for July 3rd. Unfortunately, we didn't have a quorum because of that holiday weekend, and so we pushed that back a week. So if you have any other questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
Very good, Steve. Thank you. Any questions for Steve? Finance, Kathleen.
All right. So in your packet, you had the financial report as of April 30th, which is the end of our fiscal year. But these are very preliminary at this point. They should be very close, but we still have the year open. We're still getting invoices for the fiscal year, at least through the end of June. And then we're starting our audit. We've done some preliminary work where the bulk of our audit will actually be done in July. So the final numbers will actually be available at the September board meeting. So just as an overview of what you see here, the general fund revenues were $562,000 higher than budget. About $328,000 of that is due to some taxes that came in better than budget, such as property sales, income, home rule taxes. And then there was another $162,000 related to interest income. So we've done really well with our investments this year. So we've had $162,000 allocated to the general fund that came in higher than budget. As far as the expenses, last month we did have a budget amendment. So this month it reflects the budget amendment. So after that, factoring that in, our expenses are $12,000 below budget. And then overall, a net surplus of $75,000 for the general fund. Regarding the water and sewer fund, water sales are very similar to where they were last year, just a slight increase of 1.6%. Revenues from water and sewer came in higher than budget by $458,000. About half of that is related to interest income. And then related to expenses, the expenses are under budget by $800,000, and that's largely due to projects that came in, project expenses, estimates that came in higher than expected, so those projects were all pushed off a year. So the net surplus for the water and sewer fund is 1.2 million for fiscal '24. Salaries and benefits came in at 131,000, higher than budget, or about 1.2% over budget. And then our investments, again, we were very conservative, estimating or projecting for interest income for the year, not knowing what was happening with interest rates. So we estimated 358,000 for all the funds. Half of it basically went to the general fund, the other half went to water and sewer, and then other amounts were spread through the other funds. But overall, we more than doubled what we anticipated. We came in at around 721,000 for interest income for the year. And that's all I have. If you have any questions.
Any questions for Kathleen? Thank you, Kathleen. Mike, we've been talking, Mike Utensky, Deputy Chief Utensky, we've been talking a lot about police tonight. Do you have anything to add, activity?
No, if I could take a quick moment, I just
Sure.
want to thank all of you for all of your continued support. I know we've had a couple different issues in front of you tonight, and we're very grateful for all the support you've always shown us, and thank you very much. And thank you to the manager, too, who's really, in his short time here, has jumped right into the deep end with me and tackling some of these issues. So thank you. I appreciate it.
You hear me say this a lot, Mike. Thanks for everything you do and your department.
Thank you very much.
Greg, I just had a quick question of the chief. In the past, the accreditation manager was a sworn position. Is that still a sworn position, or is that a lay position that's overseeing the accreditation of the police department?
That still is a sworn, that's the support services commander.
Thank you.
Yep.
Special projects, it's the sidewalk committee. Is there any update there?
The committee had its final meeting in May. We approved the report that you guys will get in July, right? We're in June, in July, and it'll be on the committee of the whole meeting.
Great. Thank you to Trustee Whitaker and Gallen. We've talked about the library campus, and we've talked about mid-block crossings. There is a drone that is on order, but we are waiting until mid-July for that. Anything from the village manager? You've been speaking a lot tonight.
Unfortunately for you, I'm not hoarse yet. So I was going to bring up ComEd, so thank you for raising that earlier. You may notice, for those in the audience who've been here a number of times, you may notice that from time to time there are department heads that are not here. Generally, my process is that if a department head does not have anything on the agenda, they should enjoy the night off. So I know some may have gotten accustomed to seeing everybody here, but really for them, they work so hard during the day. If I can let them have the evening off, and any questions you have that we may not be able to address here tonight, I'll make sure to get an answer for you so you don't see any diminishment of access. And I don't know if several board members, the new PowerPoint packet for the templates on the board items, so hopefully you like that new presentation style. For me, it's a way to highlight the information I think you should be reviewing and that you need to be able to make good, positive decisions. And then next month, you're going to see a little bit of adjustment to how we present financials to make sure that that's highlighted for you also and clear in the process.
Terrific. Thank you.
That's it.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Just on the board packet, I had mentioned to Patrick, it's all about Patrick tonight. Why is this? I don't know. But no, the new board packet and the way the materials that have been presented to the board was a really nice change in readability and looking for really the meat and potatoes of what we need to know. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Whitaker. That's it. That is it. May I
I
have a motion?
have one other thing along with Trustee Whitaker about Patrick Brent. I just want to thank you. During your interview, you've made a lot of comments and promises, and I think in 2 months, you've more than hit the ground running in doing and focusing on a lot of what we've asked you to do and what you said you were going to do. So I appreciate that. I agree with Trustee Fowler, what he said earlier in the committee of the whole, about we asked you to do a lot of things. You're doing those, so it's refreshing, and you're getting a lot done with you and your staff. So thank you for everything you've been doing in this short time. You've done a lot. Thank you. And I know the residents appreciate it as well.
I have 2 super quick ones. I know Public Works is not here, but I do want to thank Mike and the crew in the hot weather. They were out on Willow Road during the week. I happen to live off of Chapel Hill, where it's very hard to see out because that's where Willow bends. And cars go pretty fast around there, and they were out and they basically shaved and dug it. So people coming out and taking that turn now have a much safer thing. And it was just, it was a hot day, and they were out there. There was a crew out there for 4 or 5 hours, and it's a tremendous effort on their part. And I also want to congratulate our New Trier soccer team, boys and girls, and the father of the goalie of the girls' team that won the state championship. So let's not let that go away. Congratulations to Todd Fowler and Annie, his daughter Annie. He didn't want me to do that, but I did it anyway.
Thank you, Barnaby.
Thank you, Barnaby. Anybody else? All right.
Oh, and Greg, I just want to thank Chief Nystrand. I know he's not here. I spoke with him the other day, and 3 out of the 4 new census population signs have been put up. They're nice looking. They did a nice job, and they've got another one that they're going to finish on Willow Road. And then I know I sent Patrick some pictures that we can work on the next committee of the whole, or the committee of the whole after that, with some of the other locations that we discussed for those future signs.
Great. We have a motion and second to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
More.